Well, hello and welcome to Kankakee Podcast, where we talk about the people and places of Kankakee County. I'm Jake LaMore, and Happy New Year! This episode drops on New Year's Day, 2024. We made it another year, my dear.
We did.
And so this is the first time that my wife is joining us on the podcast as my wife. I think when we did this last year, you would have been my fiance.
Yes, we got engaged December 18th.
Yes. So since the start of the podcast, every year around this time of the year, we do a 10 most listened to episode of the 10 most listened to episodes of the year. And it's always been fun to count down with one another. And actually joining us too behind the board right now is COO, Chief Creative, or no, CC, right? No, COO. I always get that messed up.
Chief Creative Officer.
CCO. Gosh. Too many O's and C's.
You're going to get fired now, Jake. Get the titles right.
I am going to get fired, but Brian.
Oh, no, we love Jake. We truly do love
so do I.
The energy. Oh, good. Mutual love for Jake here. This is the Jake fan club podcast, actually.
No.
That should be the spinoff podcast.
Honestly, it's so cool it worked out this way that no one else on the team was available to engineer for this episode. And it was like, well, Brian was like, I guess I'll be doing it. And I'm excited that Brian's joining us on this conversation just because, honestly, I feel like you and I, Brian, have like some of the best conversations together off mic in the office all the time.
Oh, thanks, Jake. I feel the same way. It's always a pleasure to share stories with you and just have a chat. And I always come away, knowing a little bit more about you and just knowing a little bit more about Kankakee in general. So thank you.
Oh, the feeling is mutual, my friend. And
awesome.
And then Lizzie Bear is meeting you for the first time as well. So just so you know, I do call her Lizzie Bear a lot. That's a thing. You can call her Lizzie Bear too.
I won't make fun of you too much for that. I will not be calling her Lizzie Bear. I feel that that's too far.
It's a husband-specific nickname. Yeah.
Now, I will throw out a little disclaimer too. It's been, the day we're recording this was a really long day for me, and I might get a little loopy. So you might see a different side of Jake on this episode. Plus, I feel like when Lizzie is around, I do get a little loopy as well. So
fun.
She has that effect on me. So
it's been a long day for everybody. So we're just gonna roll with whatever loopiness or goofiness that happens.
Yeah. It's been a long year. It's been a long week. It's been a long day in good and bad ways. I mean, just since we're recapping 2023, oh my gosh. Wow. People have been asking me about how the year has went, and I tell them June was a really, really busy month.
Yes.
For us. That's when Lizzie and I got married, and then literally the day after we got married is when it was announced that Pathfinder bought Kankakee Podcast. So it was
two weddings in 1 month, essentially.
It really was
different types of marriages.
Yeah, it was just so. It was wild. But the year has been amazing for both the podcast and personal life too. So, and of course, Brian, once again, I want to thank you for that as well. And just being so easy and patient, working with me on getting Kankakee Podcast in the space and the organization that Pathfinder saw it, or the way we saw it together, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Cause, you've been a pleasure since day one to work with. So, you made it just as easy to, welcome you. So,
thanks, man.
We love having you. We love having the Kankakee Podcast. And we're doing more podcasts, with Jake. And, so this is, it just made sense. So from me and the whole Pathfinder team, we were, it was really a no-brainer moment. We were just like, yeah, Jake would make a great addition to the thing we're trying to build here. So
thanks, man.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to be a part of the team. So I guess we should probably get to what everyone tuned in to this episode for, right?
Probably.
Yeah, not the We Love Jake podcast.
Yes.
So here's the interesting thing. Brian and I know what the 10 most listened to episodes of 2023 were. Lizzie Bear, however, does not. We're changing it up a little bit this year to where we had Lizzie come up with a list of what she thought were the 10 most listened to episodes. And just to put this out there, this is from your listening stats. This is from your numbers. These are not our favorite episodes. This is literally what episodes had the most listens or the most downloads just the episodes that were released in 2023. This does not account for any of previous episodes from the previous years. So we're going to start from 10 and we're going to go all the way to number 1. So 10 being the least, and number 1 being the most listened to. So
cool. So how are we going to do this? Are we going to have Lizzie do her list first?
We should probably, like, as we go along, like,
okay,
have her, like, we should ask her. So, like, what do you think number 10 was?
So this is the thing. I have a list of the predicted top 10, but they're not necessarily in any specific order.
Oh, they're not.
So I could just tell you right now what I think 10 episodes are that I think would fall somewhere in the top 10, but they're not necessarily ranked 1 through 10.
Do you think you could narrow it down? Like, what episode do you think is the 10th most listened to from this year?
I don't know. I don't know if I could. I could maybe tell you what I think number 1 would be.
Well, we're not there yet.
But not necessarily number 10. But do you want to just hear my list?
Yeah, let's just do that.
Yeah,
okay. I also have a list of personal favorites, but we could do that later.
Yes.
And you already know what my number 1 favorite episode is anyway.
Do I?
You should know, just based on who I am as a person. And what do I talk about literally all the time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talk about a lot of things, so.
Well, okay, so we'll do that later. Okay, predicted top 10 in any order. I feel like there were, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but there are 5 Meet the Mayor episodes, right? So we had...
In 2023?
Yeah. Or 4.
I think there was...
Mike Watson, Paul Shore, Jamie Hawkins, and Tim Nugent.
Oh, maybe there was?
That's 4. I lied. That's 4. Okay. So I feel like, so I'm not from Kankakee County, so like I don't know a lot about like the mayors and political bodies. But I feel like just from my knowledge of past years that you've done the podcast, I feel like people usually really appreciate those because even if you are from Kankakee County, you don't always know a lot about you might not even know who your mayor is. So I feel like informational episodes people surprisingly like. And people like politics, whether or not they want to admit it. Like no matter what your political party is and whether or not you are a fan will admit that you're a fan of politics. Gosh. People still like hearing about politics. Not that your episodes about Meet the Mayor were political, because they weren't, but people still are intrigued by that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we did have to dive into their politics just a smidge. Yeah. It's kind of hard not to, right?
Yes. So I would say those, at least one of them.
Okay.
One of the mayors is probably, I would think, somewhere in the top 10.
Yeah. No, you're correct. I can tell you that. Okay. You are correct about that.
So I'm also going to say definitely the Kankakee Public Library Obama TikTok collab, because I feel like the Kankakee Public Library's TikTok page has literally gone viral more than once.
Yes. Yes, it has.
So that probably attracted a lot of viewers.
Okay. So you're thinking that's in the top 10 that we're going to count down.
I'm a librarian and I work in New Lenox, so it's not anywhere in the county. And people in my area talk about Kankakee Public Library's TikTok page. Like, that's how well known they are. So I feel like even if you have never listened to Kankakee Podcast, you may have somehow found that episode because so many people watch their TikToks.
And it's, former President Barack Obama.
Right, and it's fun,
It was a fun episode.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So yes, also Bree from Electric Lady Lounge, because she's freaking awesome and she knows so many people, and you got tattooed during that, so that's also freaking awesome.
Yes, that was
I feel like we should do that again. Like, not necessarily a tattoo,
well,
but
I've got actually an idea about that, and I know you know about this idea. I don't think I've ever discussed the idea with Brian yet, but that's I don't know if I'm ready to reveal that that idea publicly.
I feel like we should do at least one more episode where you're interviewing somebody while doing something.
Like, we should make that a reoccurring thing.
Maybe like once a year, like visit a small business and like partake in whatever their business is. Like, whether it's an activity or even if it's like a restaurant, like taste testing. Like,
Brian is
doing something.
You're getting
hire me, Pathfinder.
Well, we do have at least one or two married couples working here, right?
Well,
we do, yeah.
I mean, I'm just joking, but maybe next year it'll be a Kankakee Podcast hosted by Lizzie LaMore.
Yeah,
the better half of the
just
LaMore
trade
couple.
LaMores. Yeah,
yes.
They are requesting more of the Chicago South Sider aggression.
That's what they want here.
Yeah.
Okay, so then also Kankakee State Hospital and Manteno State Hospital, because a lot of unknown like eeriness to both of those places. Like, people love learning about unknown things. They love learning about urban legends.
I thought you were going to say it's because you think I belong in one of those.
I mean, I do, but I was going to tell you that off mic. Yeah, and again, I'm not from Kankakee County, and even like growing up, like I would hear things about Manteno State Hospital. So again, it has a very far reach. Episode about Child's Play, because again, a lot of people love that movie. And it was Halloween themed. People love Halloween themed
They
things.
certainly do.
And obviously it did tie into Shapiro. A lot of people enjoy hearing about that because, again, it's kind of like this eerie unknown thing.
Yeah, so really we kind of had two episodes about the Kankakee State Hospital in a roundabout
different
way.
approaches.
Yeah, different approaches, yeah.
And then I was also thinking that maybe Meet the Pathfinder episode, because that was like very exciting news for you. And I feel like when you, like before you had revealed that you were coming to work for Pathfinder, you were kind of letting people know, hey, there's going to be some changes. Like, I'm still doing the podcast, but it might be slightly different. So I feel like it might have intrigued a lot of people. Like, I feel like a lot of people might have been interested to see and hear like what the new podcast, not that it was a new podcast, but what the new reveal was or the new approach was.
Yeah, that's true. Because I did, if I remember, I announced that I was stepping down from doing regular shows on the radio.
Right.
And I announced that first, and then it was like so many weeks later than the Pathfinder announcement came. So yeah, that could be, I see what you're saying there.
Yes. And then the last one, but I also have honorable mentions too. I thought a lot about this today.
Okay.
The last one is Jimmy Smith, because it was co-hosted with Ted Peterson, and he's an athlete. People love sports. I don't know anything about sports. Isn't he a football player? He's an athlete.
Both of them. It was literally an NFL player interviewing another
People love
NFL
sports.
player. Yeah.
So, there's a whole audience there. Then I was also thinking about how in past years, the museum episodes have always done really well. So I was thinking maybe Bird Park.
Ooh, okay.
Because again, people love just kind of like learning more history, especially about things they may not know a lot about. And then I was also thinking Andrew, because he was the Taco Bell kid. And again, that was like a viral sensation. So, so not only did that episode reach your regular listeners, but there's a chance it may have gone to a different audience because I'm sure he has followers of his own. I'm sure it was somewhere on Reddit or something.
It
it was all over the place.
It was viral.
That was
in a different way
everywhere when it happened.
Those are my predicted 10. I think I may have given you 11, but those are my
and
predicted.
Those aren't in They're not in any particular
order. Those are just episodes I'm thinking.
Can I say that is impressive?
Yeah.
There's a little lead in there.
Did my research.
Yeah. Can I say maybe 65 to 75%?
Okay. I'll take that. It's pretty good.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that's fair. So not bad. As your dad would say, not bad.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
I mean, he probably will.
He might. Yeah. Actually, he should be because his daughter is on this episode.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready for?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this, Brian?
Yes.
All right. Okay. We're going to officially start the countdown now with number 10. The 10th most listened to episode in 2023 was number 90 with Bill Parakis of Meineke Car Care Center.
Wasn't on my list.
Yeah, no, that was not on your list.
That was one of the ones that weren't.
No. Now, Bill has been in the community for a long time now. He's originally a South Sider as well from Chicago. And so, as we do in most episodes, if we're sitting down with an individual person, usually we're kind of walking through their life story. And one of the things that sticks out in my brain, he told this hilarious story about his dad and I think his uncle or one of his cousins years and years ago, before he even knew what Kankakee was or came down here and lived here. His dad came pheasant hunting down here somewhere in like the Aroma Park area. And so they find this spot to hunt for pheasant that is very plentiful of pheasants. Okay. I mean, they're all over the place. So they just, what do? They start shooting up the pheasants, getting their game. And next thing you know, a game warden comes by, and it turns out they were hunting on a pheasant farm.
Oh, I remember that.
And
no wonder it was so easy.
Right. No wonder it was so. Yeah, I really enjoyed that story. There's more. There's actually another twist to that story. If you haven't listened to that episode, I suggest you go back and listen to it. But I was very happy that Bill's episode made it into the top 10 because he's just a really community-driven guy. He's helped out almost anyone you can think of in the community. Meineke Car Care Center goes way beyond car repair, which I do suggest using them, by the way, not just because he's been a big supporter of the podcast, but every time we've taken our cars there, it's always done the right way the first time.
Yes.
So I always appreciate that. Always honest. Never have an issue with him or with Amber that works there as well. So Bill, and he's also actually been involved with like Converge too. He did a breakout session at the Converge conference this last year.
Yes, he did. He did.
I think it was on customer service, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
No one knows customer service better than, Bill Parakis. So if you're ever in a situation where you're like not really sure, like, what you should be doing in the customer service area, Bill, he knows how to do it. So
what would Bill do?
What would Bill do?
WWBD.
I like that. But Brian, did you listen to that? I know you didn't get a chance to listen to every episode, but I know you tried.
I did try. I did not get a chance to listen to that one, but I am.
Do you have any history with Bill?
I do not, but I know of the stories of Bill. Like you're right. His legendary customer service, and I don't use that word lightly. Everybody always is like, oh yeah, Bill customer service, like are synonymous around in this area. So that is not surprising that that is number 10.
Yes. What I love is every time he explains something to me, when car work is getting done, I never feel like I'm getting sleazed over, you know. He's not like always trying to sell me some filter that I really don't need or whatever it might be.
And that is a common practice in that arena.
Yes, unfortunately it is.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. And Bill is not like that whatsoever. I remember I went in there one time with my car and I said, yeah, my check engine light is on. And he's like, oh, I know how to fix that. You just take a picture of your wife and you place it right over the check engine light and it's fixed.
Perfect.
I like that.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Yeah.
All right, so
that was number 10?
Yes, that was number 10.
Okay.
Should we move on to number 9?
I think so.
Okay. Do you want to take any shots at this?
No, I feel very discouraged now.
Okay.
I didn't have number 10 right. So now I'm second guessing.
Should I give you a clue?
Yes.
Okay. So number 9 is also a car related episode of Kankakee Podcast.
I don't know.
Think like fast cars.
Oh, Bill Yanka?
Yeah.
Because he did the Speedway?
He did the Speedway.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is. So number 9.
I feel like, why didn't I put that in my list? That was a dumb move on my part.
No, it was not. Your list was very good.
I mean, but he's Mr. Kankakee, so
he is Mr. Kankakee.
Yeah.
And
was that one on site too?
that was on site. Yeah. So
cool.
Just to kind of, number 90 with Bill Parakis was pre-Pathfinder. It was very early on this year. It was in January or February. I think there was snow on the ground. And 117, which is the Kankakee County Speedway episode, guest hosted by Bill Yanka, Mr. Kankakee. That was a Pathfinder produced episode. At that point, I think we shot it in...
It was in the summer.
It was August or September.
Yeah.
It was like the tail end of summer.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was on site. We shot the episode inside the grandstand announcer booth.
I would say it was the press booth.
It was the press booth.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think that was Andrew McBurney's first.
That might have been one of his first jobs.
One of his first jobs, or one of his first Kankakee podcast recordings, at least. If it wasn't the first, it was definitely one of the.
It was him and Matt and you, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
It was the three of us. We went out there, and that was just really cool. Like, even though I was not hosting it, I was behind the production of it. I made sure the audio all sounded good. And Matt and Andrew took care of the video work, and it worked out really well. And I was really happy that Bill stepped up to the plate because, as we all know, Bill is a very busy man. So the fact that he did not turn us down was really good. And I just felt like, so if you didn't get a chance to listen to that episode, or maybe this is like even the first Kankakee podcast episode you're listening to, Bill is also the announcer. He announces the races. He MCs the races every Friday night during race season, which usually starts in, I want to say April or May, and goes until September.
Yeah, I would say it's springish.
Springish.
Where it starts, yep.
Yeah, and he's been doing that for probably 20 years-ish, maybe longer.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember.
On and off for 20 years easily, yeah.
And if you follow Bill or just have a conversation with Bill Yanka, he just loves racing. He gets so excited about it. Like, I would say he gets excited about it just as much as he does about Kankakee. Like, he's very passionate about it. So I had been wanting to do an episode about the Speedway, but I thought that would be a good episode to let someone else get behind the mic and facilitate the conversation. And he did a great job, because that episode, he the first half is like going over the history of it, and then the second half is kind of like the current story and how the racetrack almost didn't continue in around 21 or 22, and how it was kind of brought back to life, so to speak. So that was I really enjoyed that episode a lot.
Me too.
Yeah. Brian, did you get a chance to listen to that one?
I listened to a little, I only know the stories around what you guys talked about for that. I was traveling a lot at that moment.
Yes, you were.
And, but I heard it went really well. Bill is always great when he's telling stories, and I knew he wouldn't disappoint there as well, and he's loved racing, as long as I've known him, and I think his dad kind of instilled that into him as well. So I was super happy that he was going to be guest hosting that. Not that I don't enjoy Jake, but I knew Bill would bring an extra sense of passion about the Kankakee Speedway.
Yes,
definitely,
absolutely, and and I feel like you probably know Bill probably a little bit better than I do, or if not a lot better than I do. So that coming from you, that says a lot about Bill.
Yes,
that was number 9.
Number 9.
So number 8. Do you want to take a stab?
No, but give me a hint.
Okay. Let's get ready to rumble.
That doesn't help me.
Oh.
No, I mean it's WWE. But like who?
Close. Yeah, okay, you said WWE.
Yes, wrestling.
Yeah.
There you go.
So is this person a wrestler?
Yes. Do you remember the one wrestler we had on the podcast?
I do not.
Oh.
No, I don't remember.
His first name starts with an E.
That doesn't
doesn't
ring any bells.
Eric Olson.
Oh.
Yeah.
I forgot he was a wrestler.
Yeah. Eric, well, I should have given you one of his wrestling names instead of saying his name.
Yeah, because I would definitely know a wrestling
Yeah, you
name.
would.
Yeah.
I know. You love wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, Southsiders have so much aggression
You
that
don't
they have to watch.
out me publicly. I mean, last night I did tell you I was going to punch you in the face.
This is a true story.
And now it's been recorded for
now it's been recorded. Now you're getting, like I said, you're going to get a little different side. I'm going to be exposed on this episode.
I love it.
Between Lizzie and Brian, it's just open season on Jake.
We're gonna swap stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait.
So number 8 is Eric Olson. And we had Eric on, it was around July, I think. And Eric has been a wrestler in the Kankakee area, amateur wrestler, for the last 20, 30 some years. And he's had various characters over the years that he's portrayed as wrestlers like to do. Because that's the fun of it, it's getting into like this goofy character that's so over the top, like they're not real.
Right, almost like alter egos.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I remember Eric specifically saying the wrestler that like sealed the deal for him when he was growing up was Hulk Hogan.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Who, also is very exaggerated, I feel like, in his alter ego.
Yeah, like he can be this crazy person and just do crazy stuff and it's acceptable because, like we all know Hulk Hogan. I don't know him personally, but I doubt that he does.
I thought you did.
I lied about that on our first date. I'm sorry. Now you're questioning everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. He, I'm sure he doesn't walk around everywhere ripping his shirt off, right?
I mean, he should, but
should he?
Because he's Hulk Hogan.
At his age, I don't.
Just he's Hulk Hogan. He could do whatever he wants.
You like those silver foxes?
I mean, maybe, but not specifically Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay. All right.
He wouldn't be in my top 10 of silver foxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Noted. Noted. So I'm trying to remember if just from memory if I can remember some of his wrestling names. I know there was I think it was the Berserker. I think it was one of them. And gosh, I feel bad that I can't remember some of the other ones. But Eric just has such a passion for wrestling. And I think one of the big reasons why this episode did so well is, Eric and I had been in talks of having him on the podcast since we started in 21. And this year sealed the deal for having him on because he decided to retire from being in the ring. He's still involved with, the local wrestling organizations, but he's no longer wrestling himself. So, this was kind of almost like a part of the grand finale for him to kind of tell his tale and his story. And I loved the story he told about how him and his wife met at a bar, and he was wearing his ridiculous wrestling costume for a Halloween party because it fit right in. He went from his wrestling match right to the bar, and his wife at the time was the bartender, and she was having trouble with a patron, and he helped kick the guy out, I guess.
Very heroic.
So yeah, it was closing time, and I guess he didn't want to leave or something. So Eric stepped in, and
that's a great first date story or
first
meet
sighting
story. A meet cute,
right? A very good meet cute. And yes, if you're wondering, Dawn Olson, the realtor, is Eric's wife. So yeah, small world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoy that episode just because Eric not only just has a passion for wrestling, but he has a passion for helping people out, including the podcast. He supported us as a paying patron for several months. And without people like Eric, we would not have gotten this far. So thank you, Eric, for all of your support and just for adding to the great list of
diverse,
eclectic.
Thank you, eclectic. Sometimes
all of those words.
Yes. Sometimes my brain and my mouth don't.
I know. You don't have to tell me.
I know. Okay, so
it's getting goofy.
It is. See, I'm starting to get to that point. Okay, number 7 is very interesting.
Okay.
So this is where your list that you gave us at the beginning of the podcast really comes into play.
Okay.
You remember what you said about the mayor episodes?
Yes, that at least one would be on the list.
Yes. Well, 2 of them are on the list.
Okay.
They tied.
And they tied.
Oh.
They tied
Talk about rivalry.
Yeah, for the number 7 spot. Yeah. Do you want to toss in what mayors you think are tied for number 7?
Was one of them Jamie Hawkins?
No, but she was close. Shout out to Jamie Hawkins, by the way, mayor of Grant Park. She is so cool and had such a good time with her. So good mention to her. But no, it is not Jamie.
Oh, but now I can't remember which mayor he is. Tim?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Tim Nugent of Mantino.
Yes.
So he is one of them that is tied for number 7. Who do you think the other mayor is that's tied with him?
Paul.
Close.
So it's Mike. Mike Watson.
Yes, it is Mike Watson. Mayor Mike Watson of the Village of Bradley. So I thought it was hilarious when I was tallying up the numbers today that they tied for the set.
That is very funny.
Right? Yeah. Both mayor episodes.
It's a very political thing to happen.
It really is, And a funny story about Mayor Watson. Every other Monday, I go to the Village of Bradley board meetings and cover them for the Valley News Department. And I was the very last meeting I attended, I was standing waiting my turn after the meeting to get comments from Mayor Watson on, the ordinances that were passed that night, yada, yada. And as I was looking at him, it just dawned on me, he looks like Colonel Sanders.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you did tell me that.
I hope he doesn't take offense to that.
Celebrity lookalike.
I don't mean it in a bad way, but he totally looks like Colonel Sanders.
That's funny.
Okay.
You definitely have to tell him that.
Yeah.
And now he's going to find out.
Or if he listens to this. Yeah. He's going to find out.
You have to at him on the social media.
Yeah,
posts.
I'm going to.
That could be the little blurb, how you post a blurb.
Yeah.
On social, that should be part of it.
Yeah. He should be a Colonel Sanders impersonator.
Yes.
Or his next Halloween costume. There you
go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But so I guess we'll start with Mayor Watson because he was on, his episode dropped first this year. That was another episode that was early on in the year. And his episode, as you can imagine, I mean, he has done so many things in his both personal life, professional life, and political life. One thing I didn't realize walking into the situation or walking into the interview was that he was actually, this is the second time technically that he's been mayor of a municipality. He has been a mayor of a different municipality that he helped form actually in Kankakee County. So I did not realize that until the interview with him. A lot of people may or may not know this, but he owns United Disposal.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah. So he a man of known for many different things. And then, getting to Mayor Tim Nugent of Manteno, that was a more recent episode that dropped in November. So just a month.
Yes.
Month and a half ago. And that was another one where even I feel like, and this is not to one up Mayor Watson at all, but I feel like Mayor Nugent has done so much in his, I think he's 70 years old. I feel like he's lived 10 lives in that 70 years, just from all the businesses that he's been associated with and the organizations. I mean, he's been the mayor of Manteno for it's getting close to 20 years. It's been a long time. And when every time I think of his episode, I think of how I completely forgot he had a career in law enforcement. Yeah. And that he was the chief of police when Stephen Small was murdered. Yep. He was the chief of police of Kankakee. Yeah. I don't know before I sat down with him if I forgot or I just didn't know that. But did you know that, Brian?
I did. I've in many different ways worked with the city of Manteno. So obviously I was working with Mayor Nugent, and it would be every time I would talk to him, there would be another story that would come up that was like you said, another life. Like what? I didn't know you were a police officer. What? Yeah. I didn't know you owned a business. It just kept all these things just kept unfolding.
Yep. Yeah. You would never guess he was a police officer at all. And I mean that in the kindest way possible. And when that subject got brought up, and we started talking, I found out he was in law enforcement, or that got brought up in conversation. And then I started asking him, okay, what cases do you think of, when you were police chief? And he brought up Stephen Small's murder, and the tone and the look on his face and the inflection in his voice just completely changed. I feel like that's still it still has an effect on him as a person. There's still a piece of that from that time that he still carries with him almost. I don't know. I could feel that. I could be wrong, but I could just sense that in the room. And in fact, if you're a Patreon subscriber of Kankakee Podcast, there's an extended version of his episode where it actually talks more in depth about the what he remembers from the Stephen Small murder. There's a little more diving into that in the extended version that's not available on the free version. So if you ever want to check that out, please do so.
Can I do the next one then?
Yeah, because this is all you, man.
All right.
So what's number 6?
Should we have Lizzie try to guess it, or what? Like we have been?
Yeah. Give me a hint.
Make one that's not too obvious.
Yeah.
That's a hard one though.
It's one of the spookier ones.
Okay.
And
darker.
It is dark.
Yeah.
Was it Child's Play?
No.
Was it the Manteno State Hospital?
It was the Manteno State Hospital.
Yes. Also one of my favorites.
Manteno State Hospital, number 6. I watched that and it was so compelling and I even knew a lot about the Manteno State Hospital, but there was stuff that was brought up that I did not know. So it was just really good. It just like if any of the listeners are familiar with Ken Burns, it was like a Ken Burns documentary. It was just really well done, Jake. And I really, really enjoyed it. You laid out all the information in front of everybody. And I always just, it fascinates me, the Manteno State Hospital, just like how truly large the campus was. Like it was just enormous. And one fun side fact, my wife Ashley worked for Homestar Bank, and she worked in the admin building, which is that main building when you go into Diversitech.
Yes.
And she has some stories about the spookiness of that building.
Yes. I feel like when we revisit because we're gonna revisit the Manteno State Hospital in the future, whether it's on Kankakee Podcast or a branch of Kankakee Podcast, because this episode we could only cover. I tried to make it more of an overview because I found a ton of information and I'm still finding more and more. There's just so much that happened out there. And that's one of the many elements is the ghosts that people have felt, experienced, and so I feel like I'll be asking you, be like, does Ashley want to share her ghost stories or, experiences?
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, I think anybody that worked out there, did work out there, has some kind of story about a presence or a ghost or, whatever you believe in, but something unexplainable. For sure.
Yes. And even the people that live in the newly built homes that were put up in the last 20 to 30 years out there,
right,
say they have ghosts in their house. So,
Well, there was a lot of probably questionable things that happened out there.
Yes.
For sure.
Definitely.
Because I'm air quoting mental health, because mental health in the when that was built was nothing like it is today, and it just, we as humans didn't know how to deal with those things, and unfortunately dealt with them in some not very humane ways.
Right.
Yes.
And what's crazy is that at that time, though, like that was cutting edge, just like what we're doing today is cutting edge. And that's the part that blows my mind, because if you go back to pre-Manteno State Hospital and you go to like the early teens or the 1800s, then you're talking like pure just locking up the person and throwing away the key, literally.
Yes.
versus like Manteno State Hospital was all about letting the public know that, hey, people don't wear straitjackets here. We let them freely move about. We do all these different
That was very progressive for the time.
Yeah, that's something like with as many dark stories that there are likely just as many helpful stories as well. I think the dark stories get more traction because ghosts are tied to it.
Yes, that too. I know we could, there's so many things. One thing, and I shared this with you, Brian, and I know I shared it with Lizzie too. Since that episode has been released, there's been some other things that have kind of come to light to me. And one of them being the possibility that my family on the LaMore side sued the hospital or the state of Illinois for the kind of tying into the typhoid epidemic that happened out there. Long story short, there's a creek that runs through my family's farm property, and it's very close to the hospital. It's not that far. And apparently raw sewage was getting funneled into that creek. And at the time, my great-grandfather was raising cattle. And that's where the cattle grazed and drank. So I guess I'm being told there was some lawsuit. I'm actually in the process of trying to find legal documentation to back up said lawsuit, but I haven't found anything yet, but I'm in the process of researching that. So it's just kind of, it's kind of interesting. Just got I went to visit my grandma one day, my grandma LaMore, and she brought it up and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know that.
Granny was gatekeeping.
And then I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, did Grandpa ever talk about this? He's like, yeah, I kind of remember him mentioning it. And I was just like, why am I just now hearing about this?
All the LaMore secrets.
Ooh, that's a podcast right there.
Yes.
LaMore's, oh gosh. Yeah.
Get your mom on here.
Then I'm canceled for sure. Totally canceled. No more.
No more Jake LaMore fan club podcast.
New host of Kankakee Podcast. Jake LaMore ousted.
By his own family. Yeah. Brian
Prairie takes over.
Oh, no. I will guest host occasionally.
Yeah, we have talked about that. You can expect Brian to be a guest host in the future.
We're at number 5.
Yes, in the middle.
Do you want to
give me a hint? I love hints. I love guessing stuff.
Okay.
This one is fun. I can't wait to talk about this one.
Ooh.
Okay.
If Brian's excited, I'm excited.
All right.
So,
okay.
It was a really fun episode. I don't know. Music. I'll give you that.
That's very broad hint.
I mean, I feel like
you have had so many musicians on the podcast.
Yeah, but not a lot this year.
Not a lot this
Part
year.
of the local music scene for quite a while. I don't know if that helps any.
I feel like my mind is very muddy right now on dates. Because I know who you've had on, but I can't think of anybody specific.
This was an episode released pretty early on in the year.
That's why I can't remember it.
Yeah. You remember our wonderful intern, Colin?
Yes.
He helped me record this episode.
Oh.
On site.
What's the first letter of his name?
No. It's a group.
It's a band.
Oh, it's a group. Yeah, I'm not going to guess then. No, I'm
Carrying Torches.
Yeah, I totally forgot about
Number 5.
Number 5.
That's, I mean, if you ask me, that's pretty good. Like,
that is pretty good.
Yeah, that's high honors. That's
yes.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
So Carrying Torches, alternative rock band here in the Kankakee area for 6 years now, maybe.
At least. It has to be at least
Yeah.
6 years.
I mean, as a collective, all the members have been in the scene for way longer than that. But the band itself, a 6, 7, 8 years-ish, I would say.
It was number 87.
Yeah, it was number 8, and we're into like 130.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I do a lot of listening of various things.
No, I mean, carrying torches, Justin and Misty and John, and, they've kind of, they've had rotating members, like in the bass section. I know Mike Bass is back playing bass in the band. It's so funny. When I think of this episode, I think of a story that Justin, their lead vocalist and guitarist, shared with me about the song that they were promoting on that episode. It was a story he told me off mic that I cannot repeat. But that's what comes to mind. I wish I could share it with you, but I think I might. I don't know if it's public knowledge at this point. It could be, for all I know. But anyway, I think of that interesting story. But yeah, the single they promoted was "Small Talk," if I'm not mistaken at the time. Really great song. It was the first song that they recorded with a guy named Seth Henderson out of Crown Point, Indiana, who has become a very well-known producer, songwriter, engineer in the pop punk emo alternative space in the last 10 years or so. He's just really made a name for himself, and he really, I feel like, really made a big difference in the sound of Carrying Torches. In fact, literally as we're recording this, they've been back at his studio this week. So you can expect...
Oh yeah, I saw that. I follow them. So I noticed that. That's cool.
So
That's
you can
awesome.
expect more music from them soon, I'm sure. And
maybe need to get them back on the podcast.
They'll be back on the podcast. Yeah. And then another thing I think of with their episode is we recorded that at their practice space, which is where a lot of local Kankakee area musicians and bands practice. And that's a building on Schuyler Avenue.
And the one with the mural?
The one with the mural. And it was once the home of WKAN.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yes. And they even have like some of the walls and the windows and the wiring from when it was the radio station in there. And I was totally geeking out over that.
That's cool. Because
of my radio background. So it was really cool to see. So it was awesome to record that episode in that space, So
it's a neat space. I've been in it as well.
I was going to say, I bet you've been in there.
Yeah. It's a cool space.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It definitely has a band vibe space, in there. So yeah, that's cool.
And I guess there's a podcaster or two in there too.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if there still is, but there was about a year ago. So cool. Yeah, I learned that and thought that was awesome. Okay, so number 4.
Moving right along. Number 4.
You want to take a crack?
Give me a hint.
Lizzie Bear?
Give me a hint.
It's an episode that has to do with Kankakee.
That's a little too vague.
It's a place that you would love, you wish was still open, and that you could just drop me off there and leave me there.
So the Kankakee State Hospital.
Yeah,
yes.
There it is.
Yesterday you did say, well, just give me a lobotomy then.
I did say that.
Dramatic.
I wasn't being dramatic. I wasn't being dramatic. I was being very...
sassy?
No, it wasn't sassy.
A pain in the ass?
Yes. I was just being very... I can't think of the word.
Difficult?
No, I was being just, yeah.
A pain in the ass.
Yeah. I guess that's good enough.
So it is fitting.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 4 was the Kankakee State Hospital. That is a, I completely forgot to mention this, and I feel like a doofus. The Manteno State Hospital episode was in partnership with the Kankakee County Museum. And we love working with Jack and Jory. I feel like such a jerk now for not mentioning them because they are just amazing local historians. The knowledge that they hold in their archives and in their brains is just amazing.
It is.
And our episodes would not be as good if they weren't involved in them. So I want to shout out to them.
Definitely.
For that. And yeah, the number 4, the fourth most listened to with the Kankakee State Hospital was with the Kankakee County Museum as well. That was released first before the Manteno State Hospital episode, which is probably why it's further up the list because it's been out longer.
I was going to say that earlier. I'm sure that has some effect.
I think so too, because with that episode, the Manteno State Hospital has more of a narrative podcast feel to it, whereas the Kankakee State Hospital, I didn't put as much narrative work into it, I guess.
Yeah, people love a narrative nonfiction.
Yeah, but regardless, Jack and Jory laid out the information very well if you want like a good overview of the Kankakee State Hospital.
Yeah.
And the Kankakee State Hospital is Shapiro now?
Yes.
Okay.
And we really didn't even, like, Shapiro could still be its whole own episode because we really didn't even dive into like Shapiro and on, I mean, we talked about how now it's Shapiro and when it became Shapiro, but we didn't really get into like the history of Shapiro because Shapiro started in 1974. So that's a lot of history.
Yeah.
Yes.
There as well.
Yes, but relatively new in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
In the history of Shapiro.
Yes.
Yeah.
And talk about another beautiful campus.
Yes.
Oh my
It
God.
is
Definitely.
gorgeous.
I mean, I feel like it all comes back to the administration buildings
Yeah.
because I could be wrong. I don't know if it's a national landmark, but it is some type of historic landmark.
Oh, really?
Yes.
The administration building at
Yes.
Shapiro.
That makes
is.
sense.
Yes. Just because of the architecture, that clock tower.
Oh, yeah.
That clock tower is just such a Kankakee staple.
It's iconic, yeah.
Yeah, when you see a picture of it that, that's the Shapiro clock tower.
Yeah.
You just know. In fact, that was one of the tattoo options.
Yeah, I remember that.
For the Bree Haug episode, Electric Lady Lounge. That was one of the possibilities.
Yes, I feel like it was a close second, wasn't it?
That was a close second.
That was one of the ones people liked, or that you had at least shown interest in.
Yeah, there were 3 designs. I think that was number 2. So, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But I know I could rant on and on about that episode. What do you remember? Does anything stick out to you in your minds about whether it was from the episode or not?
About the Kankakee State
About the Kankakee State Hospital, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I learned this from that episode or from when we went to the cemetery walk, because remember they had one of the doctors there.
Yes.
But I didn't know this. But again, I can't remember where I learned this tidbit from. But I do remember learning that whatever his name was, one of the head doctors there was like one of the, I guess, like pioneers of like modern mental health, which like seems silly to say because that was so long ago. But like we were talking about before, like mental health has only been taken seriously, recently in the grand scheme of humanity.
Right.
And even now it's not as good as it should be, if you ask my opinion, especially for women.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was interesting to hear that like something so local had like such a good, like a great effect, like a positive effect on like medicine in general.
I wish I could remember his name.
I don't remember his name.
I know
either.
who you're talking about, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did find that to be very interesting as well.
He worked with like a group of doctors, I think from the University of Chicago.
Yes.
And they were kind of like the team of doctors that really studied like mood disorders, like schizophrenia, like and really taught people like what the differences are, how treatments can work. Because again, like back in the day, like people didn't know that those were illnesses. They would just say, you know, especially again for women, they would say, oh, you were depressed or postpartum. You know, a lot of things weren't taken as seriously as they should have been.
Yeah. I mean, that was the era where men were having their wives committed.
Yes. Well, and that even goes back to the Manteno State Hospital, the woman who shared her story about her grandmother.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. That was crazy. And that was the same thing where her grandmother was committed essentially. She had postpartum, but they committed her because they thought she was severely ill, which yes, postpartum is a mental illness, but did she need to be committed? No.
Well, that's what they
did. She
did.
have her baby taken away?
Right.
No.
They didn't have all the medications.
Yes, or just the knowledge.
Just the knowledge.
That too. The
you
knowledge
know?
and the medications. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that was a main takeaway for me. It was just interesting hearing that, you know, this place that I drive by often that I hear people talk about had like such a positive effect on mental health, you know.
Yeah. We're up to number 3 already.
Top 3.
Number 3.
What do you think 3 is? It's I will tell you, it's an earlier episode. It's pre-Pathfinder.
Yeah, I would say the top 3 are pre-Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Number 3 is on my list, and it's pre-Pathfinder.
Oh, I don't know.
No, you didn't. It's not on your list.
Well, okay, then I don't know. You could try giving me a hint, but
a local flower.
Remember any episode about a local flower?
I do not.
Like it's like only native. Well, not only native, but it originates from.
Oh yeah,
a specific place.
Yes,
it doesn't ring.
Kankakee Mallow.
Kankakee Mallow.
I don't even know what the Kankakee Mallow is. Oh, okay. Talking to the South Side. What the heck is a mallow?
So.
You okay, Jake?
I'm good. Number 97, Friends of Langham Island.
I don't remember that at all.
You don't remember Friends of Langham Island?
No.
Man, number 3, one of the most listened to episodes from this last year. It was definitely one of my personal favorites. I will say that.
That was a good one.
It's just the whole time I was just absorbed by everything, all the information they were throwing out there about Langham Island. Langham Island is there. Well, one thing I learned during that episode is that that's not the only island on the Kankakee River.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah, there are several islands. I think they said 20 some. I think Trevor had a number, but I can't remember what it was.
I've kayaked, and in the last several years I've picked up kayaking, and I was amazed when I was kayaking in the Kankakee River about how many and how large the islands are in the Kankakee River. It's just like, whoa.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah. And I don't know if Langham Island is the biggest, but the reason why it makes it so special is because it's not an island that you can easily get to most days, I guess.
Yeah, I actually just listened to this one, and I think, was it 20 or 40 acres that they said?
It's a decent size. I think it's 20 acres at least. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So it's a decent sized island, but it's kind of isolated from, so many different, obviously humans, but other animals in nature. Like really birds are the only ones that
live on the island.
Can get to it.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So I remember Trevor in that episode talking about how there are species of different kinds I think he was mainly talking plants and stuff, and maybe even insects. I'm not sure, but he said you can only find them like on that island in this area. You won't find them anywhere else, just because this island is kind of just isolated. It's not.
It has something to do with multitude of things, but mainly what a few of them was, it's the current there is pretty tough.
Yes.
And then the composition of the island is mostly limestone and then, enough dirt for some things to grow. And that was kind of the, why some of these species found a home and only there. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I found it very fascinating, and I also I know Trevor and Molly that were in this episode, and I've known Trevor for a little while now, and he loves everything outdoors: bugs, grass, shrubs.
Yeah,
all things.
Right, he's
all
just
things natural.
Yeah, he's just a nature guy, and all of the guests that were on that episode from the Friends of Langham Island, they have all been big supporters of the podcast, both just sharing it, being excited about it, to being, monetary supporters. So thank you to all of them for, their efforts and keeping us going and sharing the knowledge of Langham Island. I mean, they will... they're always accepting volunteers to go out there when possible. I
was like, oh, you know what? This sounds like, when I have time, and, that's few and far between. But when I do have time, like, oh, I want to volunteer with these guys because I want to I want to know more about this, and I want to, I love being outside. So helping restore an island, that sounds fun to me.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to do like a Kankakee podcast, like, adventure there.
Ooh, like a remote. We should go out there with that.
We could, or like, I wanted to invite like patrons to come out there with us and, actually check out this island and see.
Get a big group.
So fun.
Yeah. So definitely check out that episode if you haven't done so already. And shout out to Friends of Langham Island. You can find them on Facebook too. That's the easiest way if you're interested in becoming a volunteer or just seeing all the pictures and videos of the island that they post.
Number 2, we're getting to the end.
Getting to the end here.
Was it on my list?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay. I need a hint. Wait, no. I want to guess. Okay. Was it Obama?
No.
Was it Bree?
No.
What the heck? Child's Play?
No. It was pre-Pathfinder.
Oh, okay.
What?
Was it one of the mayors?
No. What's on your list that's pre-Pathfinder? What else that you haven't mentioned?
Is it Jimmy Smith?
Yes.
Yes. See, it only took me like 5 tries, but I got it.
I love it that, so it was the episode where Ted Peterson came back to guest host.
Yes.
And he interviewed Jimmy Smith.
And wasn't that fan voted? Didn't you have people vote on who should guest host? Or is that just an idea we had? I can't remember. We talked about doing that, like having a poll.
Yeah, I think we maybe talked about doing that, or maybe that was something else.
Yes.
So Ted was a guest in 22 on the podcast, and I really enjoyed the conversation with him. And it wasn't long after his episode was released, he emailed me and was like, hey, he's like, you should talk to Jimmy Smith. He's another, Kankakee County native who also played in the NFL. And he's like, he was all like, he was a much better player than I was, and, really talking him up. And I had heard of Jimmy Smith, and an idea clicked in my brain. I'm like, wait, Ted, I'm all for it, but how about you guest host? I thought that would be
appropriate.
I thought that'd be a cool opportunity. So if I'm not mistaken, I think we only had 2 guest hosted episodes this year, and both of them made it into the top 10. Right? There were no other.
What was the other one?
Bill Yonka.
This is the Bill Yonka
Oh,
one, yeah.
I already forgot.
I think it was just those two. I don't think there were any other guest hosted episodes that I can recall. I'll have to check on that, but I'm almost positive. So if I'm correct, that's pretty cool. Like that both of the guest host episodes made it to the top 10.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm hoping that reaffirms we're picking the right
I think so.
people.
Or maybe it means people are sick of you.
I think it means that too. That was going to be the next thing I was going to say is they're ready for a change.
Lizzie, I'm glad you said it because I was just going to.
Speaking for the both of us.
See, I wanted to leave that for you guys because I knew one of you was going to say it.
That was too easy. That was a softball.
That's okay. You know, Jimmy Smith, his NFL journey, I feel like was so different than Ted's.
Oh, yeah.
They both obviously come from different backgrounds, different experience. You know, I feel like Ted got really lucky, you know, 2-time Super Bowl champ. You know, I mean, he had some bad luck too, but, you know, Jimmy sharing his whole addiction journey and all of that was just a very personal episode. And I think Ted, in fact, Jesse Arsenault, who was one of our dedicated listeners, said that was one of his favorite episodes. He thought Ted did an exceptional job guest hosting. So
I would have to agree. I know Jesse well, and he's interviewed a ton of people. I've interviewed a ton of people, and it's not as easy as it looks. And Ted just made it seem effortless. He did. And I mean, Jimmy had a great story, but Ted just did a fantastic job in really kind of following him on that journey, and got some just beautiful storytelling from all of that. So yeah, he did a great job.
I agree. I don't think he's ever hosted a podcast. Like he did make it look pretty effortless.
Yes, he did.
So, and I mean, we all know we've all been in interview situations in one way or another, and yeah, we know how daunting that can be.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's
fun fact from Jimmy, he was an East Side Bulldog. And so was our very own Matt Oshesky. So a little tie in there.
Yes. Yeah. Great way to point that out. Matt is very proud of that.
He is very proud of that.
And you would never guess. I don't think you've met Matt yet.
No.
You wouldn't. At least I don't look at Matt and think, oh, he played football.
Right.
Like I mean, granted, he was a young kid when he did, but like, I just don't.
Is it tall and lanky?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the stereotype, I
No.
guess.
No, it's not.
Something else from this episode, just how, like you said, both of their stories were very different, and then how they came to meet one another again in our very own, you know, Kankakee County, and just the journey. You know, and the somewhat tragic journey of Jimmy and dealing with addiction and for a very long period of time, and then, you know, finding his calling and doing some truly beautiful things and helping out his fellow humans. I always like to say Kankakee is a great place to live, and I do think I'm a little biased, but I do truly think and know many people that believe that too, because of stories like Jimmy's. Because he came back even though he thought he was going to be basically an outcast. And,
I was going to say
and
that,
ashamed of the very, very good opportunity that some people thought maybe he squandered, but he came back and he said he found love and acceptance and just was taken aback by all of that. And I can truly attest to that as well. I've never had to deal with addiction or anything quite that bad, but this community loves you. This community will embrace you. And just to hear that in that story, just kind of, I don't know, since it's, around Christmas time, like made the Grinch's heart swell 9 times its size, so that just made my soul really happy listening to that episode.
I agree. I really think Jimmy, his story and his episode kind of reaffirmed kind of one of the big points of why we even started this podcast, just reaffirming what you just said, Brian, that Kankakee is a great place to live. And if you truly are authentic and real, like Jimmy was when he came back home, then people will embrace you and they will support you 100%.
Yes, they will.
And I think
we all make mistakes.
Yes. And I think the fact that, Jimmy was he was forthcoming about that. And I mean, what a challenge. Like, seriously, what a challenge to come back home. Because I know people that left, and we all know people that leave their hometown areas for reasons for, whether it's embarrassment or what, and they refuse to go back because then they have to face those things. Yeah. And like, he came back and he faced all that, and he's completely redeemed himself and doing great things in the community with his ministries.
Yes, he is.
It's just, that's
admirable.
That's like Mount Everest.
Yeah.
To climb that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that made number 2.
Yeah.
So
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Oh man.
Number 1.
To the last one.
Number 1.
Let's see if Lizzie can get it.
Is it on my list?
It is definitely on your list, and you brought it up more than once.
Okay, is it the Kankakee Public Library?
No.
Oh, come on.
Sorry. Yeah.
And to be shocking, like, I can't believe that one didn't make the list.
I know.
I'm shocked too.
What the heck? Okay, is it Child's Play?
No.
It's not Child's Play.
Is it Brie?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I should have just went with that. I was just really rooting for the library. I have to.
I know. That one. I think it might be in the top 20.
Okay.
If I made a list for top 20, I think it's in there as far as stats go, as far as statistics go. But yeah, number 1. I don't know. I feel like number 1 was obvious.
I mean, you did have a very unique spin to it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
A lot of people love and know Brie.
Yeah, well, I have a Brie tattoo.
So do I.
So
we all, all 3 of us have Brie tattoos.
Brie Tat Club.
And
Brie
she's hanging, a picture of her is hanging in our office.
I took a very just iconic picture of her and her son dancing at one of the Sunset Stroll.
That's so sweet.
And we needed to put some photos up. So I was like, oh, that's a good one. Let's do that. So and I've known her husband for a long time because he worked at Target when I did all those many years ago. And he was in the Hoot Hoots.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Brie, and something that Brie brought up in her episode while she was tattooing you, which was really fascinating to kind of go through with you, because if you didn't know anything about getting a tattoo, you kind of went through it with Jake at that moment, which was kind of neat.
That's true.
Because some people are a little apprehensive about getting a tattoo because it's needles.
Yes.
But something Brie brought up, and I can truly attest to this, and I'm sure you both can too, is that when you sit down with her, you're not just a client, you are her friend. Like, she is truly interested in that person that's sitting in that chair across from you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how she does it.
Right.
Well, she's just so personable, I feel like.
She's so personal and authentic.
Yes.
And you don't, it's just I say it's a rarity, as in, and I don't mean that in a way that people are jerks or they're not personable. I don't mean it like that. I just the way she does it, I feel like is is a rare
Yes.
gift, because not everyone, I feel like, can do that.
Right. And I feel like Brie is so like welcoming, like she's so non-judgy. And like I've met so many tattoo artists that come off so judgy because they tell you right away. They'll even have signs on their shop. We don't do this. We don't do that. We don't do XYZ. We only do this thing. And
I mean, there are things that she doesn't do.
I understand like artistic integrity. I get it. And like if you're a tattoo artist, I'm sure you want to like create something beautiful and not just like something that somebody found on Pinterest that a million other people have. I get that. But the fact is that like maybe Brie thinks those things, but she doesn't let you know that. Like she's not like, I feel like it's kind of a stereotype, at least in like the tattoo shops I've been to.
Yeah,
that like
is.
You know, but Brie's not like that. Like she's very much like whatever you want, I will create for you. And maybe she like the tattoo I have, I only went in with an idea, and then she helped me kind of like beautify it. So I feel like she's very like, I will help you pick out what you want or give you what you want, but she might offer some like creative input, but she's not like judgy about it. So I feel like you walk in feeling like very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, which isn't always the case in tattoo shops.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's something that she prides herself on, as well as her sister Ari as well, that works in the shop with her. They both pride themselves on being inclusive and welcoming to everyone, and you definitely feel that in there. You just you feel very relaxed, and you know, I thought in full disclosure, I thought it would be a little more challenging to be interviewed while getting tattooed, but honestly, she made it easy. So
yeah, it's very conversational.
Yes.
You know, and that's all hats off to her. Yeah. I mean,
I want to give you some credit, Jake, because not many people would put them in the little hot seat there, and while being tattooed, like, you know, you've had tattoos before, but I mean, you don't know how you were going to react to that. So
no,
you were just as conversational while, you know, somebody tattooing you. So hats off to you as well, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we just didn't show video of the parts where Jake was crying. It hurt so bad.
Yeah, so wonderful Lizzie Bear here was manning the camera. Or womaning the camera.
Cut out the parts where you were sobbing.
Well, she cut out the parts I was sobbing. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was, I mean, and thank you for doing all that, by the way.
You're welcome.
So, but a little more behind the scenes for you on this episode, because there was obviously a lot of moving parts. I think you were not feeling well that day, if I remember.
That we went there?
Yeah, you were like coming down with something.
I vaguely remember that.
Like a cold or maybe it was the next day you became sick. I don't know.
I do remember, though, that she has like this huge picture, a portrait of Stevie Nicks that was in like a church Jesus picture frame.
Nice.
Yes.
And I was like, I love that. And I think she said that she found it at a thrift shop with a portrait of Jesus in it, but like switched the picture. Like, you know how like in like a cathedral, it's like the very gold, like traditional picture frames.
Mm-hmm. So sounds like a very Brie thing to do.
Yes. Like I feel like when I think of that experience, I think of Stevie Nicks.
Yes. So yeah, I think you, if I remember correctly, you weren't feeling well, but you pulled through like a champ.
I mean, I am a champ, so.
You are. And Brie, you know, I think we had talked about this episode for like a year.
It was a while.
Yeah. And we finally made it happen. And, you know, she did not charge me anything for the tattoo.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that, you know what, again, that's just a testament to Brie.
Yeah.
It is. Especially since I really do feel like she does some of the best work I've ever seen.
She really does.
Her just...
I mean, everyone there, honestly, her whole team.
Her whole team, but just the work she does is very, just her artwork is not only the artwork, but just even when it comes to the actual getting the ink into your skin, I feel like she's just, there's nothing that I feel like compares.
Yeah, I mean, that's why she was number one. And even, you know, you're in like all the local groups and people are like, I need recommendations. It's always Brie. Her name's always being thrown around.
I always drop it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think it's the talent, of course, that's there.
Yes.
But like Lizzie was saying, it's her compassion.
Yes.
Because like, you know, you could have all the talent in the world, but be a douche, and you don't want to sit there and have to, deal with that person. But like what's so fun about Bree is like she finds a common ground, and then all of a sudden an hour's gone by and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
So she's so good at her job.
Yeah.
And on all the levels.
And that's exactly what happened with the podcast and why it worked out so well. I mean, it was like a 4-hour session, wasn't it? 3 or 4 hours?
I mean, obviously we didn't record it, but yeah, I feel like you two found a lot of common ground. So there was a lot. I mean, obviously you talked a lot about tattooing, the process of tattooing, the history of tattoos, which I also appreciate. She's very into the history of tattoos because I find that very interesting. But yeah, a lot of common ground just between you two as friends and acquaintances and whatnot.
Right. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Yeah. So, behind the scenes of like the making of the tattoo that originally placed on me. So if you're just now like finding out about this episode, haven't listened to it yet or anything, we came together and decided to come up with 3 designs that the listeners could vote on, or anyone.
Wasn't it originally 4?
It might have been.
Because one of them you nixed. Didn't you nix the
Oh
the
my
rose?
gosh. Yes.
The rose.
And we talked about that on, there was the rose, but we also were considering doing a not the kank tattoo.
Yes, as a joke.
Yes, Brian, do you remember the rapper, not the kank? So,
yes, because I think that that was a student of Logan's.
No.
Yes.
Oh man. Wow.
That's funny.
Wow.
There's so many connections there, because then I forget who showed me it, and like, you have to see this.
So yeah, there was this rap video that was sharing around everywhere for a while, about a year ago, I guess. Or maybe it's been longer than that. But anyway, it was all about the hook of the song was not the kank.
Yeah, it's like Paris, France, not the kank.
Yeah. So we were seriously considering that for one of the designs that people could vote on. But when it came down to the decision on what to have Bree draft as possibilities, we decided to nix that one too, because we knew that everyone would just vote for that.
Right.
And so I feel like it didn't make it fair, because everyone would be like, I get to pick a tattoo that goes on Jake LaMore. Oh, I'm going to pick not the kank, because I know that guy's going to regret that in like 5 years or 10 years.
Like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah. Like, so I think that's why that
might have been a wise move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that would have taken, I don't know, like, I guess it would have added something to the contest and the episode, but it also would have.
Well, I feel like it would have taken away from the seriousness. Like it was funny, so like it would add comedy, but I feel like,
and it was supposed to be a fun, obviously, too, and it was.
Well, and I feel like the obviously all the other options were meaningful, and like the podcast you do is meaningful.
Right.
Like I feel like the kank, a lot of people listened to that video and thought it was a joke. Like I understand like the message behind what he's saying, but it was kind of a joke. So I feel like if you would have gotten that, you'd be like mimicking it or mocking it.
Yeah. No, totally. So the 3 designs that were narrowed down were the Shapiro Tower, clock tower with the river incorporated and some trees.
The one you have.
The one I have.
And then wasn't one of them just lyrics?
Yes, that's right. One of them was just the lyrics from the theme song.
And there was another one. There was the rose.
I forgot about the rose, and I don't even remember. I should share that.
Yeah, well, I feel like
when we do this episode,
I feel like we agreed not to post it as an option because it was very feminine.
Did it have lyrics in it?
I don't know if it had lyrics, but I remember it was very, very floral. And I feel like
it was a cool looking tattoo.
It was pretty.
I really liked it.
But I feel like it was pretty, but I feel like you felt like it wasn't pretty for you. It was,
I don't remember what my hang up was about it. I don't remember if it was that or something else, or maybe it was multiple things.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to look that up. I'll have to go back through my phone and my photos and
maybe post
that when we release this episode, because
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. So. Again, essentially that I mean, of course, that episode deserves to be number one just for Bree's,
yes,
just for her passion,
definitely, just for Bree because she's awesome.
Yeah,
Bree is awesome.
Thank you.
Hashtag Bree is awesome.
Yes, Bree is awesome. Thank you, Bree, seriously, for this collaboration, and letting us do that. And actually, going back to what I said earlier in the episode, there is another idea of collaboration between Bree and actually some other local tattoo artists that maybe this year we'll bring that to fruition. And actually this idea is actually more of even a bigger community involvement than the picking a tattoo to get tattooed on me was, because we did bring the community in on that one, but this is even more so. Hopefully we can make that happen this year.
It's been a hell of a year, man.
It has been a hell of a year.
These were a lot of great episodes, and we had to give them all their due.
Yeah, all their due. Sorry, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, did a lot of talking, but didn't even get into grilling you yet.
No.
So.
Well, now's the time before we wrap this up.
I'm just being funny. So,
okay.
That could be a different podcast.
I mean, like
so I know this has already been long. But I feel like we should give some notable mentions.
The Kankakee Public Library.
Yes. That being one.
Yeah.
The Kankakee Public Library episode, kind of behind the scenes on the Obama TikTok.
Right.
That was...
I helped with that too.
And Brian, not only with the episode, but with the making of that TikTok.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
You helped make that happen with Celia.
Yep.
And you guys did a hell of an awesome job.
Yeah.
What about Child's Play?
Child's Play, yes. I worked so hard at trying to gather as much information about that episode as I could. I don't know if I put this out there online anywhere or in any of the episodes, but I reached out to some of the cast members from that original Child's Play movie and even the director, Tom Holland. Not Spider-Man Tom Holland, not to be confused. It's a much older Tom Holland, obviously. And unfortunately I just did not get any feedback from them, on being a part of the episode or being part of the interview process. So, but hey, you never know. Maybe down the road there'll be a connection established and we can do more on that. Another one I want to be sure to shout out that I've had many people come up to me and tell me this was the absolute funniest episode of all time that Kankakee Podcast has done so far, and that was the All In show.
Oh, yes.
With Hollywood Harwell and Broke Dusty.
Yes. And
I have to agree, it was really funny. The most, if you want the most off the wall, most un-Kankakee Podcast episode, the formula was just, it was all over Broke Dusty did push-ups during the episode. Yeah. For instance. Oh, wow. What else went on? It just went off the rails, and all in great ways, the
best interviews do.
Yes.
I suppose, but it was a blast. So shout out to both Ryan and, Broke Dusty, because I love those guys. I want to give a shout out to Matt Heading-Hess too, from the LGBTQ network.
Yeah, he was on my list.
Yeah,
he was
I know.
One of my
I saw
favorites.
That. There's so many to point out. But Matt was on an episode, and then we collaborated with the network on an episode too that we did live at the Paramount Theater. That was so much fun. Yes. I want to do, Brian. Yeah. I know we've talked about this. We have to do some more live episodes.
We're going to do that
at that theater.
Yes.
We have to, because I just love that theater.
Well, and there's just so many great places to go in Kankakee to just have some, there's so many great buildings, so many great textures. Yeah, it's a must. We need to, in the very cliche way, we got to take this show on the road.
Yes, absolutely. So hopefully more of that to come in 24 and beyond. Most importantly, just want to thank all of our guests that have been on the podcast, or anyone that made those guest appearances happen. And then, our sponsors, our Patreon subscribers, everyone at Pathfinder, my family, my beautiful wife, my son, mom, dad, everyone has been so supportive. I mean, my grandparents are in their late 80s and they listen to the podcast.
Very sweet.
And that means a lot when I'll get random messages from them and say, hey, I listened to the Mayor Nugent episode. You did such a great job. You both did a great job. And, it means a lot. Even though you could say, oh, it's just from your grandparents. But, that means
they make an effort to listen, and technology is not easy for them. So I feel like that speaks volumes that they have learned how to access things to support you.
Yes. I should have prepared a list to go name by name, but I feel like we would be here forever if I did that. But I just want to make sure that I'm very grateful to everyone involved that has supported the show in any way, shape, or form. I truly, truly do mean it from the bottom of my heart, because I, not only myself now at this point, but even since the beginning, Lizzie and my family has helped me. But now that it's a part of Pathfinder, I'm not the only one putting blood, sweat, and tears into this. The team at Pathfinder has done the same. And we do it because we love Kankakee and we love the people in it, and we want to see it grow.
I want to thank you, Jake. Well, two things, actually. One, I got to meet your son for the first time the other day.
And I heard he was a little ham.
And he
walking around.
He was awesome. He was so fun. And we became best friends by talking about Super Mario and Spider-Man. And it was one of the highlights of my week this week. So, man, thank you so much.
No, thank you. That means a lot to hear you say that, because I'm always afraid, oh man, I'm hoping because you were trying to do something that's almost impossible at the time. You're trying to wrap this cube.
Oh, right. I forgot what I was even doing.
Yeah, he was trying to gift wrap this big cube
for a gag.
For a gag. But it wasn't it didn't have solid sides. It was like a frame. And he was gift wrapping this. It was a almost impossible task. So he's trying to do this, and Owen is just going off on all these different things.
Right. And normally Owen's very shy.
He was at first.
Yeah.
He was at first.
For him to approach people that he's never met before is a very big deal.
Literally, he was asking me if he could leave my side, which was
that never happened.
I was like, whoa, you want to have permission to leave my side right now?
Have you told your coworkers about how Owen has the Kankakee Podcast stickers on his drawing?
No.
It's so cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think he talked to you and Matt and Andrew that day about the Rainbow Friends.
Yes.
And so him and Lizzie draw and color the different Rainbow Friends.
Okay.
And he, on one of the pieces of paper that has one of the Rainbow Friends on it, I think it's Scion.
Yeah. Well, there's a few of them, but yeah.
He put Kankakee Podcast stickers next to.
Right. So I always tell Owen, this is the only advertisement we need.
Yep.
You could just draw all your characters, put the sticker on it, and
boom.
He's part of the marketing team.
Done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
he always says, oh, yeah, the Rainbow Friends are Kankakee podcasters.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. And then, thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jake, for becoming a part of our team. Thank you for all the things you do. This podcast wouldn't be anything without you. We are just helping you carry that torch, and we're doing it together as a team.
Yes.
And I keep telling you that too. I'm like, remember, Jake, you have a team now.
I know. And I literally this whole week, I really got to sit down and take that to the next level.
Yes.
I feel like I've kind of plateaued. Like I feel like I was making good progress with it, and then all of a sudden, like I kind of flatlined, and I need to take the next.
We're our
step.
own hardest critic.
Yeah, right. But regardless, yes, thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, man.
And I do love it because I really do love the team here at Pathfinder. It's not that I've worked in a billion different places, but I mean, my gosh, everyone here makes it so easy.
Awesome. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
That warms my heart.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Lizzie, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
This has been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more.
Definitely, you as well.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
This has been fun. I'm super glad that I got to be a part of this. And
I hope you're not mad that we took like 2 hours of your Friday night while your wife is probably at home like, where the hell is Brian?
She's probably loving it, to be honest with you. She's just like, oh, he's not here.
And you have a cat,
chill.
Right?
Yes. No. My wife has a cat.
That's right. The cat hates you.
The cat is, there's the jury's out on that one.
Okay.
The cat is, we're not fans of each other. Let's just say
beef
that.
there.
I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. They're probably both.
Yeah, they're probably just both chilling,
loving it,
enjoying this Friday night, and I'm doing the same. I'm chilling and enjoying my Friday night with you too. So I'm the third wheel.
Well, I hope you didn't feel like the third wheel in a bad way.
Not at all.
It's so funny when people ask me what I do in my spare time. I say, podcasting.
I mean, that's pretty accurate.
That's what I do. Like, this is what I do on my Friday night.
Yeah, or you go upstairs and play Yoshi's Island.
Or I go upstairs and I play Yoshi's Island on Super Nintendo.
Or play Monopoly on your iPad like a nerd.
Or as Owen told us, play Spider-Man and say bad words.
He outed me.
He totally outed you.
He totally outed me. Yes.
Well, yeah, I've heard that story. Owen is so quick to out you, and like my favorite thing about Owen. I mean, I love Owen to death. I love everything about him. But probably my favorite thing is that if Jake and I are like bickering, even if it's like not serious, like we don't fight in front of our kid, but you get into like small bicker,
of course,
arguments, whatever. Owen will always take my side. Even if I am wrong, he will always take my side. And he'll even go up to Jake and put like thumbs down in his face.
Yeah, in context. In context. So let's say Lizzie and I are having this disagreement, argument, whatever you want to call it, in our bedroom. And the door is like halfway open.
Right.
Lizzie will leave the room upset. And Owen's in the living room, and of course, that's where Lizzie went. He sees that Lizzie's upset. He comes in the bedroom, and he gives a thumbs down, and then he closes the bedroom door on me.
He like puts you in a timeout.
You're in timeout.
Yeah. And then he's like, Lizzie, what did Daddy do? Are you okay?
Yes. Or if he doesn't do the thumbs down, he'll say, Daddy, what did you do?
What did you do?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah. So
So he's got my back. Like,
I know he does.
Yeah.
Well, you're the coveted,
the coveted playmate.
Yes.
That's
same
adorable.
with the dog too. The dog likes me more now.
That's true.
Like,
even my dog.
Yes.
Oh.
Like I have just like moved in, and like everybody just.
Coming soon, Kankakee Podcast.
Jake who?
What? Oh, you mean Lizzie LaMore,
Lizzie
right?
LaMore.
Oh, you mean Lizzie's husband?
Yeah, I mean
Lizzie's husband.
What was his name?
It started with a J or an L. I don't know.
Gerald,
Joe
Jason,
or Josh, or those are the other brothers.
Jack.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Lizzie's way better anyway.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
with that, we should probably.
Yes. No. Thank you so much for everyone for the support in 2023. One last thing to put out there. Please never hesitate to reach out to us to inquire on whether it's something we got wrong on fact-wise on the podcast, or you want to be a guest. Whatever it is, please never hesitate to reach out to us because we are always very reachable and very personable as well. So I just want to make sure you are aware of that. And with that, thank you so much for listening. This